What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you
Bye,
husband.
wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to The Spiritual Path. I am your host, Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. You can find out more about me on my website at kimgilster.com or on my YouTube, my Facebook, and Twitter. No, I don't use Twitter as much as I'd like to. Oh, and Instagram. It's all Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. So, today, before we get started on our subject, I wanted to put some things out there. First of all, the reason that I started this podcast is because I really wanted to interact with people. I really wanted to reach out to more people. So I'm doing this podcast for you. I'm not doing this podcast solely for myself. Although the more that I interact with people, the more that I learn, the more I go forward. So, of course, it helps me as well. So with that said, I also wanted to say that the way that I teach tends to be more advanced than the majority of people. I've realized that through teaching and helping a lot of people in my coaching and, just with interacting with people. So if you're looking for something that's just the bare bones, that's great. I don't practice polarity consciousness. As a matter of fact, one of the big things that I'm after is helping people out of polarity consciousness because it really is one of the big things that keep people in suffering. And today, back with me again is Fleur Dubois from England. She knows a lot about being an intuitive because as a profession, she is a psychic and tarot card reader. How are you doing today, Fleur?
Hi, Kim. I'm doing very well at the moment, thank you. Yes, you're right. I do know a bit about intuition. And as I've just played on the show, sometimes consciously, sometimes not so consciously. So this is a great subject. And we've got people asking questions today as well, so excited about that.
Right, and I did want to address because I saw that a couple of people have their hands up as wanting to ask questions.
Yeah.
Normally what we do is we spend the first half of the show talking about the subject, and then we entertain questions during the second half. The show is an hour long, so we will talk about the subject, the bare bones of it,
yeah,
and then open up the lines during the last 30
Great.
minutes. Yay! So I put a question out on Facebook, and I was asking people, what they wanted to hear about. And one of my Facebook friends, Melody, came and she said, well, I would like to hear about intuition and why it makes me paranoid. And I thought that was just wonderful. And the reason is because, that she's actually more aware than she probably thinks she is. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I say that is because, yes, she used the word paranoid, but what she's really saying is I'm in fear of my intuition. Most people don't even recognize they're in fear of their own intuition. So that tells me she has more awareness than most people. So I wanted to put that out there for her.
Yeah.
She could know that, right? Right straight off.
Yeah.
So what is intuition really? Okay. A lot of people have questioned this. I certainly have through the rest of my life. I've always been a person who has had more of an, used more of my intuition than most people. And, was it because I was born that way? Yes, we're all born that way. Okay? Just spend some time with a little child, particularly those that are close to you in your family, and you get that, as we say, out of the mouths of babes, right?
Yeah.
Okay? When you listen to the children will just, automatically have knowings about certain things. And we get amazed by that. But that's because their subconscious hasn't, taken in all of the programming and hasn't taken in the supposed rules that exist here on the earth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So your spirit, which is the base to your intuition, doesn't know everything. You chose to come here, actually, to learn more, to expand more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a back and forth. You are learning things from other people. You're also learning things just, from the energies here on Earth and in your soul spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the first part of your intuition, yes, it is, going to your heart space, right? Your heart is the window to your spirit. It's also the window to your soul space, and those are two different things. Because your soul space is actually, spaces of energies that you decided to align with in this lifetime, in this now, to learn from. And they are energy spaces that are left over from, what people call past lives, I suppose you could say. And I talked about this before. It's really important to know when it comes to being aware and to being intuitive. Okay, to really, really, eke out. There's a whole show, if you go back, that we did last year with Papi Zula and myself, where we talked about past lives and what past lives are really. Yes, you can have lived here before. Okay, you can have come to the earth before. But a lot of what people are experiencing is stuff through their DNA. So, your ancestry is part of that too. And that's also tied up in, the soul space energy and so on and so forth. It's very complicated. But once you see it, it's also very simple. It's just like everything else. Once we learn something, it becomes very simple to us, and it's easy to see. Okay? So I have a lot of people who are saying, like, well, that's my spirit says this or my spirit says that. My intuition is saying this or my intuition is saying that. So it has to be right. Well, yes, to a certain extent that's true, but how are you relating it into what's going on? What's going on in your subconscious, right? What's going on, within those soul spaces? How really aware are you if you're still in polarity consciousness, if you're still seeing things in a linear fashion, if you're still seeing things as, right or wrong, or black or white, or light and darkness, that whole sort of thing, then your awareness is probably not very much on par, okay? So getting back to the thing that Melody asked, so she said, how do I get beyond this feeling of, I'm going to call it fear, and then she said paranoia. You have to embrace the pain, okay? We got this message, right, that we should fear things. Mm-hmm. That if something resonates with us as something uncomfortable, then it must be negative. It must be something that's unwanted. It must be, something that we need to push away and avoid. Okay? But as we push it away and avoid it instead of embracing it, what ends up happening is it comes back in some way, shape, or form. Because our spirit is trying to expand. Okay? It's the nature of our being. Okay? So will, and it continues to align us with things that are going to challenge us, things that feel uncomfortable. So instead, what we need to learn to do is to embrace that feeling of being uncomfortable. Mm. We need to really do the best that we can to really look at it. Okay? And there are a plethora of tools that we can use to do that. But yeah, avoidance never gets us anywhere. Because the thing is that once we get on the other side of that pain, everybody knows, once we get on the other side of whatever pain that we go through, we open up. But the more that we avoid it, the more we suffer. Okay, and this has everything to do with developing your intuition and your awareness, right? So that if I'm seeing anything as being a negative or anything as being, something to fear, then I'm really developing my awareness. Mm. I'm really not embracing what is love, because that's what I'm doing. When I align with something that's challenging myself, okay, however that looks, if I've aligned in, okay, here's an example. People align in relationships that challenge them, okay? No matter what kind of relationship it is, there's going to be some challenge, whether it is, our relationship with our parents, our relationship with our children, our relationship with coworkers and bosses, or relationships with a significant other, okay? And people often, because, we relate love most often with the significant other romantic type relationships, those tend to feel like they're the most challenging to us. Okay? And then when we're not getting what we think we want from that relationship, we feel heartache. That heartache is actually devised to have us open up that much more. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that when that person is challenging us, it's our alignment. So it could be, yeah, we aligned with this particular person, and it's not necessarily a permanent thing, okay, for the rest of our lives. Or maybe it is. And maybe it is, but we're not seeing the potential in it because we have all of these ideas. Social media now, you see it even more often, where I see people thinking it. They're trying to convince themselves sometimes that, that they have these certain things that they really don't, and sometimes you can see it. Okay? Because we all know, there are those people. The more that people put it out there, that their relationships throw all of that in a bag of chips, the more you can sort of detect that, they're struggling with some things. But they have a fear that if they talk about those things, that people are going to judge them, and really they're judging themselves. They're judging themselves because they are struggling. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that people don't have that. They do. Okay? And those people will put that out there too, right? But when those people put that out there, it's usually, on some sort of poignant occasion. Like, for instance, my relationship with my mother has really grown as I have grown. And, oh my, it used to be a huge struggle, to say the least. That's a big understatement. But, recently was Mother's Day. And while I don't always talk about my mother, because I don't, feel a need to, all of the time, I did, I did that, for myself as much as I did it for my mother. There is was no expectation with it because I very much experienced unconditional love with my own mother, as we should. You know? So in romantic relationships, we see sort of the same thing, you know, or a similar thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And what does that have to do with intuition? Everything. Okay? Because if we really, really listen to ourselves, we can find that space of unconditional love. But we have to find that space of unconditional love for ourselves. The more that we do that, the more aware we become. The more aware we become, the more intuitive we become, the more empowered that we become, the more we overcome any kind of fears.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's very true.
I mean, you just had a dream, right? Where you were taking a nap. Maybe we should talk about that. Where you felt like you were in battle.
In actual fact, yes. In my dream, I was trying to use my feelings and intuition to figure out what the heck was going on in my life. It was like a message from my spirit to myself. And in this dream, I'll just say at the end of it, there was this battle. Oh, excuse me. And it was really interesting. Actually, it was really awesome because this person that had chosen to battle me, because, by the way, they couldn't lie to me and I made it clear in public. With my knowledge and intuition. Yeah, it's so relevant. They kept coming up with all these weapons to get me, and I just used feelings. I was unarmed, and I won the battle, and it was fantastic. And I was in a space of love and non-resistance. I wasn't resisting.
Correct, because that's how you win the battle.
Right.
You know, you don't win the battle by being in that space of resistance. You know, I recently had a very similar dream. I was, you know, like a kung fu master. And it was interesting because I felt like the whole world was, you know, somehow against me in the dream. And, you know, and then I saw myself in these, like, kung fu master robe, right? And it was very Matrix-like, too. It's difficult to explain. But at first, I felt that, you know, there was like this space of resistance. Oh, the whole world felt against me. And then I just, even within the dream, I said, no, wait, center space, right? Where's my center space?
Yeah.
And I went into that center space, and this is what I wanted to talk about today, too. I felt this belly fire, right? My solar plexus completely opened up, and then there was just this fire that rose, and then there was a whirlwind of all of this fire, and there was all of this activity happening around me, and I could see like little aspects of me doing all this sort of like kung fu stuff, right? But as you know, martial arts is actually a space of non-resistance, right? Yeah. That all martial artists teach that, right? Yeah, that in order to, you know, win the battle, you've got to be in a space of not resisting your opponent, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this belly fire, right? And I've been seeing this with so many people. There's this belly fire really rising in a lot of us right now. Okay, and we register that belly fire as anger.
Yes.
But that's not your intuition registering it that way. Okay, that's not your spirit registering it that way. That's your brain. Right? Right. It doesn't have to come out as anger. Right, it comes out as anger when we resist it.
Yeah.
If we allow it to rise, you know, of course it's got, you know, it's can be very overpowering. And even in the dream, in certain ways, for me, it was when I woke up, I felt, like all of these spaces of, just feeling icky, for lack of better words. And it was but I sat with it and I said, oh, okay, because what's happening is a lot of, whatever this stuff is inside of us, it's that fire is going to, burn it out. And you're going to feel some of it. You're going to feel it, Flo was telling me this morning that after her dream with the battle, that she felt almost as going as suicide. I felt that too. As a matter of fact, there is a video.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it right now. On my YouTube where I did that, where I think it was about 1.5 years ago, I felt just, this feeling of death. And for lack of better words, it felt like suicide, because what was happening is parts of me were really dying, they weren't really parts of me though. They were things that I was holding on to, identifying as myself, that really were not me.
Yeah.
Okay. So part of the fear, a big part of the fear that we get with, going into our intuition is just that. It's the belly fire. But when we get into that fear, we become angry. We make it about other people, right? We make it about, or when we make it about ourselves even. I saw people doing that where they were, saying, oh, I'm a horrible person. I don't deserve this, or I hate the world. Oh, nobody loves me, and, all of those different things. And you know what? You may have those feelings while this is going on. That's okay. Just know that's generally not who you are, right? It's generally not who you are, right? And you can look at it and say, like, oh, okay, and it's okay, to have some kind of way, something that feels, okay to you, where, you're not lashing out at other people, where you're not, as much as possible. We all, we see that with psychologists, right? If you need to go for a run, you want to eat, or beat up on something, an inanimate object of some sort or whatever, that's helpful, whatever it takes. Put on some music that just, ups that and allows it to move through you. And eat cool foods. Eat cooling foods like cucumber. Make sure you get lots and lots of water while something like this is occurring. That's really important. Water is the most important thing in the world, more than food. We know this biologically speaking, but even spiritually speaking. Water is the staff of life. Okay? And it will help you to gain balance, while this is rising. It helps it doesn't douse it so much as it, it's just that your body needs to be able to handle it as well. And so it makes it smoother, let's say, right? What some of the things, you can write about it. You can, if you're a creative person that likes to do visual art, oh my God, it makes such great music, which is why I really appreciate music that can be aggressive. Because, it's, absolutely. And here's the thing, and I wrote about this on my Facebook,
laughter. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely laugh. Because, as we know, people will say, oh, wow, that was a belly laugh, right?
Yeah.
That helps activate your solar plexus. When your solar plexus get activated, then it comes up through your heart space, and then that comes up and it welcomes and it awakens, all of the rest of your chakra spaces, so wonderful. So, oh wow, now your third eye is opening, your throat chakra's opening more, and you can speak more from your heart and speak from that belly and speak from that space of creation. So beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. Right? And it allows you to channel. Oh my gosh. Like effectively channel.
Yeah.
Right? And it allows you to just become that much bigger. We can't be afraid of being big. That's who we are. And some more higher frequency than others, but no matter what frequency you're at, you are so important. And if you are afraid of that potential, you're doing yourself a big service, you're doing humanity. I'm sorry, yourself a big disservice. And you're doing humanity a big disservice. Right? And you're preventing your expansion. Really. Embrace
it says to me, resistance is not who we are, because we are
right.
To be. Resistance is just in the way of who we are. So all those tools are ways to acknowledge, because you've got to acknowledge that resistance, and then you've got to use these tools to move through the resistance. And creation, as you're saying, is expansive. Yeah, they really work. I've used them. You've taught me to use them. And
right, and people get the idea.
Yeah.
Right, people get the idea that in order to expand, you have to have conflict.
I know.
I would beg to differ.
Yeah.
I would truly beg to differ, because I used to think that. I mean, this is what we're taught. This is what we experience here, right?
You're going to feel in conflict when you come across something challenging that is going to expand you. You're going to feel in conflict because there are things in the way. You don't require conflict.
It's not the only way to expand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not the only way to expand. I've been after the answers to that question for the longest time. Is it possible to expand without conflict? And I've been asking, myself, I've been manifesting, experiencing expansion without conflict.
Mm.
Because, hey, who wants to be in conflict with themselves all the time? Right? That causes more suffering. So.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah. That's why people
So how do
feel that way.
Right. So
that's why people who feel that way feel that the easiest way is to not grow. So if you get into that
exactly. Right, because most people, because you get a heartache and you think, see, there I went, listening to my heart again. Oh, I shouldn't have listened to my heart. And every time you manifest that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time you say that, every time you align with that, you manifest that. I'm not going to listen to my heart. But your heart keeps saying, oh, well, okay, I'm going to break through. I'm going to find a way which you'll have to listen to me. And then you do have people who end up being, like that movie Grumpy Old Men, right? Who end up being curmudgeons, or who end up just, that's what basically creates, right, people who are rulers as opposed to leaders, or people who are greedy, or, all of these different things that you really don't want to be because it causes more pain, right? So, right, that's what creates that. It's that space of resistance. And, and I wanted to touch on something else. We're almost at the 30-minute mark, but I wanted to touch on something else real quick because it's something that I see it has to do with gender. And again, if you don't believe me about this, go and look at very small children, because sometimes changes start to occur even with 2 or 3-year-olds with this depending upon their alignments and their family and, all of that. But a lot of people, so when we hear intuition, we often hear women's intuition, right? That somehow women, this is inherent to women, and it's not inherent to people who are born in male bodies. Okay, so people who are born in what we consider to be male bodies, probably born with a penis. Okay, so, but somehow, this is all tied up with being a woman. And I'm going to tell you that it is and it isn't. It is because, and, yes, it is a little bit biological, because female bodies have adapted to the environment that they're in, right? So when you think about it, so if you, at least especially in our society, okay, because different societies are going to see different sorts of adaptations depending upon what their gender constructs look like. But in our society, in Western, society, we see where women have been oppressed. So they haven't been able to, in many, many ways, express themselves. Okay? Right. But yet they're also told that they're supposed to be the nurturer, that they're supposed to, be the person that holds all the emotions for family and, in their primary relationship with their significant other in heterosexual situations in particular. So basically, sorry, something was messaging me and I got sidetracked. So basically what's happened is women have had to go inside more and experience life more inward, because women for a long time were not, experiencing very much of public life. And of course, there's variations, but I'm just talking in generalities right now. So, of course, that intuition is going to get more developed. Now, I mean, just for that reason alone, as well as many, many other things. But people in male bodies are absolutely perfectly capable of it. Okay?
Yeah. It's
not somehow less inherent in them. Okay? Because even with people in female bodies, you have, variation, right? It depends on, that particular person and their alignments and their biology and their environment and, a whole plethora of things. So that even people in female bodies might struggle with it more than somebody else next to them in a female body, and sometimes even within the same family. And I got raised in a family where intuition was something that was more valued than in most Western families. So I was very fortunate to align with that. Anyway, we're at 26 minutes, so I do want to take questions. So let's take our first caller. Okay, Fleur?
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Hello, welcome to Spiritual Path. Who am I speaking to, please?
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Great. Are you guys taking questions?
Yes.
Yes. Who are we talking to? What's your name?
Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Very well,
Wonderful.
thank
How are you?
Good. I was trying to see what you see around. I interviewed for...
Oh, this isn't a... Sweetie. Yeah, this isn't a psychic show.
Okay.
This isn't reading.
Okay.
Right. This is more a show about coaching you to develop your own intuition.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Can I ask a question about that? That's
cool.
Fine too.
Absolutely. Please.
How do you develop, I guess, I have cards that I play with from time to time. I haven't played with them in over a year. And I used to know things. I was, say, like for the job, if I did something, I would know for sure if it's going to happen or not happen. But I don't get those messages anymore or feelings, etc. So I don't know what has happened or how can I hone back into that.
Mhm. So when you were getting the messages, were you depending on something outside of yourself?
No, I would just know things. You know, I mean, I could just call things. That would be from a job situation to if something was going to happen, I would be like, yes, it'll happen. No, it's not, and be very firm and not waver. Now it was just something pops in my head, and it'll tell me you're whatever the case is. Now I don't get any messages, anything, and I try to meditate. I try to stay still to, see what I can get, and I don't get anything anymore. So I don't know if there's a blockage or I'm just not supposed to know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is true with your case, but it's where I was talking about, the belly fire coming up for a lot of people. I've seen it more readily in the past, say, couple of weeks, on a wider scale, but it has been happening as we're ascending for more people. And so when we're, dousing that down because we're reading it as anger, it's blocking us. So I would suggest, have you ever done binaural beats meditation?
Have I done what? What?
Binaural beats meditation?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, okay. You can go on YouTube. What they are is they actually stimulate spaces in your pineal. They stimulate your pineal gland with certain frequencies, which then help to open up your chakras a bit more. And they work beautifully. They really do. And there are all sorts of them on YouTube. Now, I will preface this by saying if you've never done one before, only do it for 10 minutes. The YouTube videos, some of them are for, all night where you can sleep with it. But if you've not done it before, they can be pretty powerful. And so, you might experience some unwanted things. I know the first time that I did one, and I had been meditating for years, I did it for my throat chakra, and I was awake for 2 days. And it wasn't a bad awake. It's just, preferable to not be awake for 2 days. So try it for 10 minutes. Just put in binaural beats, solar plexus chakra, and find something that you feel like resonates with you and just, put on your headphones and allow a 10 or 15-minute meditation with it, and then progress along as you go along. Because, with the ascension happening, we're experiencing things, how can I put it, more acutely. So the things that we used to be able to get away with, we can't get away with anymore and have our intuition. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm getting from you is that your being wants to expand. So you want to be able to do this, be able to work with your intuition more consciously. And what I can feel is that you do have this anger that Kim's just been explaining. It's not anger, but I feel it collecting around your heart. And that's kind of blocking your intuition right now. So I would take Kim's advice and try binaural beats and try and get that energy moving and purge whatever there is there to purge and start learning about using your intuition more consciously as well as working on these things. Would you agree, Kim? That's what I was
Yes.
getting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's,
so that's
which is a great
basically what I got to.
opportunity for you. Great opportunity for you to develop your intuition. You should go for it. And I can hear you're more excited about this question than you were about asking us to read you something.
what was the name? What was the first word of what you told me to look up?
Binaural.
Binaural, so it's B like boy, I, N like Nancy, U, R, A, L. I think that's,
Okay.
I'm not good at doing that
Yeah,
in my head.
BINAURAL.
Okay.
Did I forget the U? Yes. Like oral, or like aura, yeah. So, yeah, there's all sorts of them, but, yeah. And you'll see, it'll give you the hertz. It'll say it's, this many hertz is what's going on. And different, with some of them have music and some of them don't. It's a preference thing. Some of them you just hear the hertz, and that's it. Yeah. I like the ones that you just hear the hertz, but a lot of people don't. It's just, whatever your preference is, what feels good to you.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I don't tell somebody, oh, go get this particular one, because we're all unique, is the thing. Yeah, but I've never had that not be helpful to people, the binaural beats. Never. Everybody that I've suggested it to really get something out of it. Really. And they've got, heart chakra, they've got throat. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I've used them, and I still use them, and they're still helpful to me. And you can do like 10 minutes solar plexus chakra, which is the chakra Kim was talking about. Or they sometimes even do a video where they do all the 7 chakras in like 20 minutes. So each one is vibrating for about 3 minutes each. That's a nice one to do as well, if you like to sit and meditate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know how you get
Thank
on.
you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay. Technology. I have to do the technology here.
Excuse me, coughing today.
Okay. Yeah, well, technology
Excuse me,
lately has
coughing
been kind of
today.
interesting. I'm sorry, what, Jen?
Yeah. I was just saying I'm sorry for coughing throughout the show today. I just have a little bit of sniffles. Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
it's that time of the year, isn't it?
It's always that time of year.
So anyway, right. The interesting thing about this show, too, is that, when I first met Fleur, the reason that she came to me is she said, Kim, I want to develop my psychic awareness. I want to develop my intuition. Do you remember? Yeah. It's not quite where it needs to be, right? Yeah. And then we've done that over the past, how long has it been? Year and a half?
I would say it's, well, I knew you from a year before, but I would say it's actually exactly a year since I began working with you seriously, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because something came up on my Facebook today, which was, I told you so, said my intuition, which I posted last year on this day. Can you believe it? I was doing a show about intuition. And yeah, it wasn't long after that we got back in touch. Because I knew you through your group from a year before. Yeah, and then we started working with each other regularly. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and you thought I was nuts when you first met me.
No, not when I first met you. I had some, yeah, there were some things that I didn't quite understand, and I thought, what? And I didn't understand until I spoke to you again. I was like, oh, I get it. Because sometimes, things can be confronting like that. And actually, the more things I've confronted, the more challenges, the better my psychic awareness has become. It's really
right,
really
and that
developing.
yeah, and that really brings me to another question that I often get from people that is surrounding intuition. So, you know, they're really tapping into their intuition, and so they have more of a knowing and more of an awareness than they used to, and say they're around family members who maybe aren't, you know, moving forward with that space. And now they're really having a problem communicating with them, you know. Because there's a part of you that, you know, of course, wants to say, like, oh, I know this thing, and it's made me feel so much better, and I love you, and I want you to have it, right? And then there's this conflict that happens, right, where they're looking at you sometimes like you have 10 heads.
Mm-hmm. I get that a lot.
Right. So how do you find that space? How do you, like, people ask me, how do you get them to listen to you? You do and you don't. Here's the thing. The base answer to that is you stop looking for their approval. Because ultimately, yes, there's part of you that obviously, genuinely wants them to know and wants them to experience, you know, these things that you're feeling and having and experiencing. But again, there's this program that we have which is called the approval, right? So we work on not wanting approval. And what's interesting is this, is that the more we work on that, and I've talked about this in past shows as well, the more we work on letting go of the need for approval and control, okay, the more that we actually get it. We get approval, and then we have control of ourselves. Because the only person you have any control of is you, period. You know, and you cannot at all try to even control anything that anybody else is doing, because that just creates conflict. Nobody wants to be controlled. Even if they know in some way that what you're giving them is the best thing for them, they will always put up some kind of resistance. And I experience this all the time when I work with people, and I don't have a problem with it. I go in aware that they're going to have resistances, okay? But I make no judgment. I don't look for their approval. Not too long ago, I had somebody say to me, you know, it was during the consultation, actually, and then she ended up working with me. But she said, you know, well, you know, I'm checking you out, right? You know that, you know, like, I don't know, she, you know, what it was she was trying to achieve by that. But I said, yeah, of course. I wouldn't, you know, think that you would do anything different. I mean, look, either you're in alignment with me or you're not. There's nothing I can do about whether you are or you're not. All I can do is be open and allow you to make your decisions. Right?
Yeah.
I don't tell people what to decide. I don't tell them, you know, that they have to do this or they have to do that. I suggest it. I say, well, you know, if you do that, this is probably the most likely outcome, but you get to make the choice. Or, you know, if this is not an outcome that you want. But if you do this, the most likely outcome is going to be what you want. So if you do that, you're at least going to get closer to it, which I know. But they have to choose to do the work. They have to choose whatever they're choosing. And it's the same way with our family of origin. It's the same way with our significant others. It's that, our, you know, whoever we have in our lives is a part of our life, and whatever kind of relationship is that way. Okay? And the more that we're okay with that, because we're not seeking approval or control, okay, the more likely they are to actually come to you and say, hey, you know, I'm seeing you like this, and ask you for some advice about it maybe. the more likely you are, too, to be able to just see them and say, oh, wow, they have this great thing that I'm learning from. And really appreciate them in your life for however they show up. Because the more you can love them unconditionally. They don't have to be this or they don't have to be that. As a matter of fact, they could be yelling at you. Right? And you can actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because your stance can be more like, thank you for feeling so comfortable that you can, show me how much pain you're in right now.
True. That's beautiful.
Isn't it? Because that's true, right?
That's true. I mean,
yeah.
We're talking about feelings here, and to share feelings, even emotions, is a beautiful thing. I mean, what happens when you don't? It's like, it feels like death when you don't express who you are. And I think I heard a phrase recently that said that if you don't show someone how you feel, that's the greatest weapon in the universe. And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah. And who's the one that's dying? The one who's not speaking their feelings. They're not being self-expressed. I got a bit deep there. Kim.
Right, but it only becomes a weapon to the person who is looking for approval and control.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't want to show me how you feel, okay, well, I'm going to come be over here.
Yeah.
With other people who are going to want to show me that. Because I don't, life is short. I'm only here for however long, in my life, in my family, it looks like 90-something years, which is longer than most. But even that is a very short amount of time. So I don't have time to spend with people who are, in that space. But at the same time, I don't judge them for it. I just go, oh, that person's in pain.
That's right.
The funny thing I guess you could call it, the interesting thing is that my chance like that, because, I have love. And if you don't want to receive it, that's okay. And I want to receive love, so I'm going to go and hang out where I can because people are willing to give it on whatever level. Because that's just holding back love is really what they're doing. They're holding back love of self and they're holding back love of others, right? And so they're just suffering, and I can't take them out of suffering. They have to make the choice. All I can do is be a beacon of somebody who's not.
Right. And on the other side of that, I used to suffer so much because I couldn't get the truth of how someone felt out of them. That used to feel so important to me. And it still does. I'm still working on that. But, yeah, I used to suffer so much because of that. And
well, plus
now,
you're supposed to. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know, that's part of my programming as well, as a female, that I'm supposed to know how someone feels.
Well, everybody has the suffering program. It's just colored a different way. It's not, none of this is like, really do women get programmed differently than men? Yeah, but those programs are actually subtle differences. They're sort of the same thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They really are the same thing. Men get taught that they need to suffer all the time. Oh, are you kidding? What? Oh, they're not allowed to feel except anger, and only to a certain extent. Right? Or, well, they can feel love too, but, only to a certain extent. They're not allowed to express feelings, really, right? Not really.
Yeah.
It's because that's a sign of weakness. Right?
Yeah.
That if you're a feeling person, you're weak. But wait, belly fire. That's your power. The belly fire and the heart being open and all of that. That is so powerful. It's like the most powerful thing. It puts you absolutely in charge. And when you accept it, you're just, and that's intuition. That's awareness.
Absolutely.
Right?
So what's
no
powerful?
fear.
That's powerful.
Right. So people hear no fear and they think that that's a space of conflict because they think that they need to be in fear. It's oxymoronic. It really is. They don't need to be in fear. Nobody needs to be in fear. Because people will say, oh, well, you know, if a tiger's chasing you, you should fear it because it wants to eat you. Well, okay, well, why can't I be in a space of saying, oh, well, I don't want to leave this earth plane because I'm choosing to still be here. So if I'm not in fear, I can more consciously know how to, you know, deal with the tiger. Whether that means to run or not, right? Because there's from your belly fire, from that knowing, from a space of non-fear, there's actually more adrenaline that kicks, even on a biological level.
Yeah.
Right?
If everyone thought about that, they could probably find an experience
I'm going to
like
interrupt
that.
you.
Yeah.
It does. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you only because we only have 4 more minutes.
Wow.
And
okay.
we want to do our little spiel. Right, I know.
Okay.
So, again, I'm Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. I am a life coach currently. I've been, working on other ideas to put things together, on courses online and, books and whatnot online. So, working on that right now currently. Big projects. It's in writing. But right now I offer life coaching. You can sign up for your free 15-minute consultation by going to my website at kimgilster.com and just hitting the little button that says make an appointment and let me know that you are interested in booking the free 15-minute consultation to see whether or not, we can work together. And right now, my rates are only set at $300 for 4 sessions. So that's like a very good deal for what I do. I have helped to change a lot of people's lives, and I do so out of a very, very loving space. People become amazed at the things that they're capable of after just a few sessions with me. I'm very well trained. I have an extensive education, which is something I wanted to talk about in developing your intuition today. Didn't get around to. But, yeah, maybe we can talk about that some other time. As a matter of fact, maybe we should do a show on what does being educated really mean.
Oh, that
might be interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Because, it doesn't always mean having a certificate or having, a formal education, but it can be, depending upon how you apply yourself in that formal education or not. And we're always educating. Anyway, but, so idea for next show. And you, Flor, as we mentioned, you're a tarot reader and psychic tarot reader, more accurately.
Yeah, I'm a psychic reader. I do use the tarot. You can find me on Facebook, Rainbow Garden Tarot, and on there are links to everywhere else I'm at. I'm also working on a website that will be coming out in about a month or 2, so look out for that. I do Skype readings online internationally for your self-love and your self-empowerment. So if you're a person who really likes to take life and their path into their own hands and create what they want, I'm your reader. I'm really all about that self-empowerment and creation. So have a look at my stuff, and if you like what you see, get in touch and we can arrange a reading. And that's my spiel.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. Thank you all so much for listening. And our show happens bi-weekly. The Spiritual Path, there are many shows that have been recorded over the past year on a plethora of subjects. And, you can write me if you have an idea for a subject or questions on something we've covered that I could talk about on the show at thespiritualsynergist@gmail.com. So until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful life. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
When the day turns into night, my hash browns turn into my new Jack in the Box $3 Munchie Mashups. Hash browns and tasty white cheese, mashed up with your choice of savory egg and bacon, buffalo chicken and ranch, or jalapenos and bacon. Each for just $3. Because everything gets more interesting at night. Vampires wake up.
9 p.m. already?
Mummies unwind.
Hot tub nice.
And the boogeyman gets his boogie on. So come try my late night munchie mashups, each for just $3. Only at Jack in the Box. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
A national university education is all about opportunity. Named a Money Magazine Best Value College, with over 100 degree programs online or on campus, and 1 course per month classes, you can get started sooner and finish faster, and begin leaving your mark on the world. National University. Visit nu.edu to learn more and get started.